Isildur is one of the most important characters in all the Tolkien works and in the future events of Middle-earth. How has changed Isildur in this second season after the war of season finale?
Yes, so he's wakes up in a cave
Yes.
and he has to fight a spider and an orc in his first sequence. I think that sort of sets the tone for the season because he's a complex character. He's a complex guy. In season 1 he was desperate to leave. He was lost. He was grieving, and I think in season 2 all of those emotions are sort of amplified, and he has to deal with it. He has to learn how to navigate this sort of new landscape of being abandoned by his family, and also new experiences, love interests, perhaps. He might have a kiss in the second season, but I think all of those experiences make him grow up, and he has to do that very rapidly. And I think he's hardened by the experiences, and I think grows up. He becomes a man by the end of season 2.
From a sailor from Numenor to a leadership to a future king of men.
Yeah, well,
it's a great journey.
It's a great journey, and I think, Patrick, good luck with that.
Yeah. Don't worry, we got some twists and turns in the road ahead.
What was the biggest challenge in this second season when adapting Second Age of Middle-earth on television?
Yes. So this season is very much focused on the story, tragic story from the Second Age of the city of Eregion, where the elven smiths live. We know from the lore that Sauron deceives Celebrimbor, the greatest of elven smiths, and that a lot of rings are produced as a result. And this season is very much about that story. And it culminates in a siege battle that begins somewhere in the 6th episode and carries right on through deep into the 8th episode. And certainly in terms of ambition and cinematic set pieces, it is the most ambitious production lift we've ever attempted on the show. When you're doing a multi-episode battle like that, it's not two armies fighting in a field. That is a part of many set pieces and sequences that make up. We wanted to think about the Siege of Eregion as sort of complex, there's an aerial bombardment, then there's a horse charge, there's, hand-to-hand fighting in the mud, there's, fighting on the walls, there's street-to-street fighting, and each of these has its own unique opportunities for, mayhem and madness and hopefully, visual things you've never seen before, because you're ultimately trying to tell the story of the fall of a city, and you want to realize that hopefully in a way that brings people into the themes and back to the books. And it's not easy though, but we're thrilled with the result.
How did you balance the need of to attract new viewers for the series and fans with expectation from Tolkien works bring life to the screen?
Well, that's the real trick, isn't it? We are thinking constantly about the audience. We come to this originally as fans and as viewers, and there's nothing we want more when, a book we love or, a filmmaker, we worship is coming out, in a new form with a new film or a new adaptation, and we want to deliver, and not just for fans, but for non-fans. And, I like to talk about my mother, hi Mom, who Lord of the Rings was not part of her, canon and her vocabulary. She's like, why do they talk like that? I don't understand, but I want this to be, a show that could be her favorite show too. Not just because she's my mother, but because she's a non-fan. So we're thinking constantly about ways to engage people on a real human level. That's what Tolkien did. We don't want this to be, for fans only. We don't want it to be inside baseball. We want the show to be for everybody and cast the widest net we possibly can. And, you're just constantly trying to road test every scene, every idea. Where is there something that's confusing? Where is there something that, maybe the audience doesn't have to worry about? And where are there things the audience has to know for this to work? And it's, we talk about it all day, every day, at every step in the process.
What elements of Milton's Paradise Lost can be seen reflected in Sauron?
You know, it's interesting because I've been talking about this on the press tour. I don't know. You know, JD and I love Paradise Lost. It's such a great, I mean, I don't want to say book, it's a poem, but it's an epic poem that is very cinematic and like reads like a novel almost. And, you know, the beginning is Satan is adrift on the sea after he's been cast out of heaven. You know, and I dare say, you know, in some of our earliest conversations about where is Sauron in this show, where should you meet him, how should he come into the narrative, I think meeting him on the sea in part was inspired by that. But also just, you know, the idea of a villain protagonist, you know. Sauron is not a hero. He is really evil and he does horrible things, and the show is never apologizing for those things. You know, good and evil exist in Tolkien, and Sauron's evil. But Sauron's the hero of his own story. In his story, he thinks he's right and everyone else is wrong. And I think, you know, the way that Paradise Lost sort of establishes that you can have a villain as your protagonist, I think was something from the very earliest story sessions, you know, back 6-7 years ago now, that we talked about as like, you know, Sauron could be our, you know, Milton Satan.
What legacy do you hope the Ring of Power will leave in the world of fantasy adaptation on TV, on cinema?
I think that's not for me to say, but I think that JD and myself and everyone who works on this show, you know, we don't take ourselves seriously, but we take the work seriously, and we really want it to be good. We want it to be special. We want it to be, you know, something that you can hopefully go back to and find new layers in. And, you know, we want it to be cinematic. We don't want it to feel like telly. Yeah, you know, and we want to do justice to a story that, you know, we're extremely protective over and reverent about, because it's not ours. We're just the stewards of it for now. And you know, we hope people like it.